Our primary responsibility is to respond to crime scenes for the purpose of documentation, which may be through written reports, photographs, videos, sketches, depending on what is called for, as well as evidence collection. The evidence collection can take a lot of forms. Again, photographs can be evidence. You can pick up rocks, sticks, shell casings, process for fingerprints, collect trace evidence, anything, any item that may have a significance to the case that we can recover will be recovered. And that's primarily what our responsibilities are.
And describe for this jury a little bit about your educational background that allows you to do that.
My background is I have a master's degree in forensic anthropology from the University of Tennessee. As part of that program, I interned with the Knoxville Police Department's crime scene unit and was trained there. Once I graduated, I went to work for the Florida Department of Law Enforcement in the Tampa Crime Lab in their crime scene unit. Went through about a 4.5-month on-the-job training. Since I came to St. Pete, I've attended 30 or so seminars or training seminars, training classes, dealing with different aspects of the forensic field, anything from arson investigation to drug labs to blood spatter, whatever I can work in, basically.
And you stay current on current topics in the field of forensic collection?
Yes, sir.
All right. And just quickly, I want to draw a distinction between a forensic technician and, let's say, a sworn officer. Do you have the ability to arrest anyone, or do you carry a weapon?
No.
Collecting evidence for detectives or people investigating crime?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did you have an opportunity to respond to a residence on 7th Street in the city of St. Petersburg on the, I guess, early morning hours of October the 24th, 2010?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right. When you arrive on scene, are there already law enforcement there with a crime scene tape put up?
Yes, sir.
What's the purpose of putting up crime scene tape?
The crime scene tape is usually put up by the first responders, basically to isolate the scene and keep it from being contaminated by folks walking through it and either tracking evidence in or tracking evidence out.
And do you guys keep a log of people who enter into the crime scene, who exit the crime scene?
Yes, sir, we do.
You stated to this jury that part of what you do is documentation of evidence. Is that correct?
Correct.
Part of that documentation may be photographs?
Yes, sir.
How about sketches?
Yes, sir.
How about videos?
Yes, sir.
Do you take a crime scene video in this case?
Yes, sir, we did.
What's the purpose of taking a video of a crime scene?
The video is just another layer of documentation. We'll do still photography. The video is just another way to try and help the folks here visualize what the scene actually looked like at the time we were there.
Right. Because sometimes with photography, you can't see spatial relationships.
Yes, sir.
It also can be difficult to see how actually dark it was.
Yes, sir.
Have you had an opportunity to view the video in this case?
Yes, sir, I have.
And did you have to use some sort of additional light source to help illuminate the area for which you were recording?
Yes, sir.
I'm showing defense counsel what's been marked as State's Exhibit 4 for identification. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a one. 14, forgive me. Approach the witness.
Yes.
Mr. Goodman, I'm asking you to look at State's Exhibit 14 for identification. Do you recognize that?
Yes, sir, I do.
How do you recognize it?
There's our case number is printed on the CD as well as my initials.
All right. And is that a copy of the video for which you guys took those early morning hours?
Yes, sir, it is.
Judge, at this time, the state would seek to admit State's Exhibit 14 as such.
Any objection?
No objection.
Okay, 14 is admitted.
May we have permission to publish?
Yes, sir.
May I ask the court to adjust the lights?
Yep. See if this works.
Mr. Goodman, there's a part of the video we're watching, you kind of see there's like a sheet up along the back alleyway.
Yes, sir.
Did you guys put that there?
Yes, sir. That was placed on the north end of the house to shield the alley from folks walking down the street.
Okay. If you were walking through the empty field next door to that house, that is the part of the alleyway you would enter into?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we know you took a video of the area, and you also took some photographs of the area.
Yes, sir.
Too. And you also had an opportunity to collect the items that you documented in the photographs.
Yes, sir.
Fair to say you guys collected pretty much everything you guys found in that back alleyway?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's take some time. What we're going to do is we're going to go through some of the photographs, and then we're going to go through some of the items that you collected, okay?
All right.
For the record, Your Honor, I'm showing defense counsel what's been marked as State's Exhibits number 2 and 3 for identification purposes.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Goodman, I'm going to show you what's been marked for ID as State's Exhibits 2 and 3. All right? Take a second to look at State's Exhibit number 2.
Yes, sir.
You recognize that item?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, and what is that item?
That is the crime scene sketch that I drew of the scene.
Okay. And then State's Exhibit number 3. What is that item?
That's the key and measurements for items depicted on the sketch.
Okay. And you prepared both these documents, correct?
Yes, sir.
Not this large, but,
Correct.
all right. Judge, at this time, the state would seek to admit what's been marked for ID as State's Exhibits 2 and 3.
Any objection, Mr. Trevino?
No objection.
All right, 2 and 3 are admitted.
All right. I'd ask that the witness be allowed to step down, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Mr.
Your
Goodman, why don't you come over here? Everyone see that? All right. This, you have it marked as the address of 511 7th Street North, right?
Correct.
And then there's this area right here next to it, that's that empty field?
Yes.
Okay. And in the video and on the diagram, there are a bunch of numbers.
Yes, sir.
On the video, we saw a bunch of yellow plastic cone-like things. Describe to the jury what those is and what's important about those.
Those are evidence markers that we use. The ones we use are yellow plastic pins, basically. The reason we put them down is twofold. The first being it's a visual reference. If I am showing you photographs, say standing here, shooting down the alley, you're not going to see anything. Especially in a case where you have shell casings. If you're standing 10 feet away, you're not going to be able to see it. By placing these evidence markers, such as this, next to the items, it gives us a visual reference. We can say, hey, there's 4 casings here and 3 casings here, and you can see them laid out. The other thing that we do when we will put the markers up is item numbers, in this case number 7, is a baseball hat. It's easier than trying to draw a little baseball hat, stick it in there, and have it where anyone can figure out what it is. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler, so I can cut and paste a 7 in real good. So, and these items will also be used later on in our documentation. Again, if it was a series of shell casings, you may have 15 similar. But by having it packaged as shell casing from evidence marker 1, 2, 3, so that later on we can identify where it is and where it came from.
Since we're talking about that, let me show you State's Exhibit number 3. This is kind of that legend that you talked about, kind of showing, again, for visual reference, if you would. Describe just generally what's important about this, or what you would use this for.
Obviously, here I have the list of what the numbers represented, because, to be honest, a lot of times I can't remember 2 years later. And then we'll have distances, basically, so that we can get a spatial layout given the scene. This is not the most ideal way to do it. Preferably, we'll do the measurements on the original diagram, but when you start getting 10, 12 numbers on there, you have 2 lines apiece, all of a sudden you've got lines sitting on top of lines, sitting on top of lines, and it's very confusing. So you go to a graph or a chart more like this.
Helps you kind of figure out where things were at if you had to recreate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Goodwin, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some photographs on the screen, and I want you to point to the diagram of where they were at. But before I do that, let's just talk briefly about, this is the field right here, and this is this alleyway behind here, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it connects to an alleyway to the front of the house.
Yes, sir.
All right. Give me a moment. All right. I'd like to show you, so defense, I'm going to show you this first group of photographs, collection of them. Here, I'm going to show the defense counsel collection of photographs we're going to talk about. Mr. Goodman, let me show you a collection of photographs here. Take a look at all these and let me know if you recognize them. I'll hold this. So you can You recognize those photographs?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, do these photographs accurately depict the things for which you diagrammed in this diagram?
Yes, sir.
And the photographs as you documented them?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to, I'll go through them individually as I show them, but I've shown them to defense counsel. I'm going to move these into evidence, but I'll move them individually when I'm ready to show them. Okay. Let me show you, Judge, it's time the state would move 10C into evidence.
Okay. Any objection?
No objection.
All right, admitted.
All right, Mr. Goodwin, I'm asking you look over your shoulder. This is 10C, okay? This is photo marker number 1.
Yes, sir. Just looking down here actually on 7th Street.
In front of the residence.
Yes, sir.
And now I'm going to show you 10D. This is kind of a close-up of that. Can you describe to Drew what this is?
It's a left Jordan slide, slip-on shoe, commonly referred to as a slide.
Okay. And did you collect that item?
Yes, sir, I did.
I'm now showing defense counsel what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 16. Mr. Goodman, take a second to look at State's Exhibit 16 in this brown paper bag. Let me know if you recognize it. Recognize it?
Yes, sir, I do.
And do you recognize the writing on the back?
Yes, sir.
And does it indicate that that's the slide from photo marker number 1?
Yes, sir. When I package my evidence, I always do our case number, EM number, evidence marker number, a description of what it is, my initials, and the date.
All right, this time the state will seek to admit State's Exhibit 16 as such.
Any objection?
No objection.
It's admitted.
Commissioner Pollard?
Yes.
In fact, there was another slide found at the scene, correct?
Yes, sir.
And where was that found at?
That was back behind the residence. I believe it, I apologize.
Let me show you this. It's been marked for identification at State's Exhibit 10A. Do you recognize that photograph? I showed you. Yes, sir. All right. Is that about fresh memory?
Yes, sir.
What photo marker was it at?
It was at photo marker number 2, corner of the house.
Judge, at this time, the state would seek to admit 10A.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, admitted.
All right. Mr. Goodman, we see a bunch of items. These are the items which you kind of show this cluster back in the corner area. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
We'll go in numerical order, but State's Exhibit 2, well, the marker number 2 is the corresponding slide, correct?
Correct.
There are a bunch of other items in here, but again, we'll address them independent of each other. Now, I'd like to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 10E. I previously showed it to both defense and the witness. Now I'd like to seek to admit 10E as such.
Any objection?
No objection.
All right, 10E is admitted.
Kind of a close-up on that slide.
Yes, sir.
Is it important to document, I guess, a overall shot and a kind of close-up shot?
Yes, sir. When we do photographs, we do ideally 3, a long-range shot, a medium range, and close-up, so that, again, I'm not just showing you a picture of a shoe and you have no visual reference to where it's at.
And now I'd like to show defense counsel what's been marked as State's Exhibit 17 for identification. Mr. Goodman, I'm going to ask you to look at this bag. It's been marked as State's Exhibit 17 for identification. Do you recognize the handwriting on the bag?
Yes, sir, I do.
Your handwriting?
Yes, sir.
Showing the slide that we saw at photo marker number 2.
Yes, sir.
Judge, at this time, the state would seek to admit State 17 as such.
Any objection, Mr. Trevino?
No objection.
All right, it's admitted.
Permission to publish?
Yes.
All right, going back to what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 10A, there appear to be some red Nike sneakers there, correct?
Correct.
Those were collected?
Yes, sir, they were.
Let's talk about State's Exhibit number 4. It's kind of the center of this picture. That is also appears to be a firearm, correct?
Yes, sir.
And did you collect that item?
Yes, sir, I did.
previously shown defense in the witness 9D. I'm now seeking to admit 9D.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, admitted.
This is the firearm, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you know what kind of firearm that is, at least if it's a semi-automatic or revolver?
It's a revolver.
For the record, I'm showing defense counsel what's been identified as State's Exhibit 19. Good, and please take a second look at State's Exhibit number 19, please. You recognize that item?
Yes, sir, it
Firearm that you collected at the scene?
is. Yes, sir, it is.
Judge, at this time, the state would seek to admit State's Exhibit 19 as such.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
19 is admitted.
Commissioner Pellishon?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Goodwin, when you collected it, didn't have a zip tie into it. Mr. Goodwin, when you ultimately, when you go to collect the firearm at the scene, are you able to determine whether or not there were shell casings in the firearm?
Yes, sir. I was able to open the cylinder and determine the casing in the cylinder.
Isn't one of the primary differences between a semi-automatic firearm and a revolver the fact that in a revolver the shell casings remain inside the firearm,
Yes, sir.
whereas a semi-automatic they may be ejected
Yes, sir.
wherever, kind of what you talked about earlier?
Yes.
Okay. Record, I'm showing defense counsel what's been marked as State's Exhibits 11A and B for identification. Mr. Goodman, take a second to look at State's Exhibits number 11A and B. You recognize those?
Yes, sir.
And these photographs of the shell casings in the gun.
Yes, sir, they are.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would seek to admit 11A and B as such.
Any objection, Mr. Trevina?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, 11A and B are admitted.
I'd like to start with 11B. Mr. Goodman, take a second to look up on the screen. Describe to the jury what we're looking at here.
With the revolver, when the cylinder is open, this is the back of the cylinder facing the individual shooter, basically showing the ends of the shell casings. And in these shell casings, the center portion is the primer, and they've all been struck, indicating that the rounds were fired.
Again, here in State's 11A, kind of the same photograph, just a little bit different of an angle.
Yes, sir.
Did you collect the shell casings in this case?
Yes, sir, I did.
The record, I'm showing defense counsel was been marked for identification in State's Exhibit number 26. Goodman, take a second to look at State's Exhibit number 26. And you recognize that the writing on this bag?
Yes, sir, I do.
Is that your handwriting?
Yes, sir.
What does it indicate that you put inside the bag?
It's the 6 shell casings, the CCI brand 38 special casings that were removed from the cylinder of the weapon.
Your Honor, at this time, the State would seek to admit State's Exhibit number 26 as such.
Any objection, Mr. Trevino?
No objection, Your
All
Honor.
right, it's admitted.
Mr. Goodman, we noticed on that revolver, it's a 6-shot, correct?
Correct.
Did you have an opportunity to view the deceased as he lay there at the scene to count how many bullet holes that may be in him?
I didn't really do a count on that. That's
Okay.
more of the medical examiner does the examination of the individuals.
Okay. Do you take an opportunity to try to look for what may be evidence of gunfire in the area?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right. And when you do that, do you have an opportunity to, or do you see anything that looks interesting to you that may potentially be bullet damage?
In this case, the house located at 647 Fifth Avenue had some damage on the back portion. I can't say 100% that it was related to this incident, but it appeared to be fresh damage, and we did do photographs of it just for documentation purposes. As I said, I'm not 100% sure. I'd rather go ahead and snap the photos and say, well, no, it wasn't related, and miss it and have to explain why I missed it the first time.
All right, so we're talking about 647 Fifth Avenue North. You said along this eve line of this residence right here, correct?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it accurate that the deceased was laying right underneath that eve, but on the other property?
Yes, sir.
For the record, I'm showing defense counsel what's been marked for identification. The state's exhibits 4A, B, and C. Mr. Goodman, take a look at state's exhibits 4A, B, and C. Are those the photographs you were talking about of the damage that you saw on 647 Fifth Avenue North?
Yes, sir.
Judge, at this time, the state would seek to admit what's been marked as states 4A, B, and C.
Any objection, Mr. Trevino?
No objection.
All right, they're admitted.
Mr. Goodman, I'm going to show you state's exhibit 4B. Do you see the two areas of damage that you noted from where you were at?
Yes, sir.
Could you walk over, maybe identify them for the jury?
We have the one area right here, and then the second area right in this, right by the wiring here. Again, I can't say, 100% positive that that is related, but I'd rather go ahead and document it.
All right. Showing you state's exhibit 4A. Kind of a close-up of one of those areas you were pointing to.
Yes, sir.
And then 4C, kind of the other area, correct?
Yes, sir.
For the record, I've already shown defense counsel what's been marked as 9E. I've shown the witness as well. I now seek to admit 9E.
Any objection to 9E, Mr. Trevino?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, it's admitted.
Mr. Goodman, this is what's been marked, photo marker number 6, correct?
Yes, sir.
Corresponding shooter to what's been represented in photo marker number 3.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
6.
seek to admit what I've previously shown to both witness and defense counsel 9C. Seek to admit these.
Any objection to 9C?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, they'll be admitted.
Again, kind of a close-up of the third photo marker and the other corresponding shoe. What's that represented at states of photo marker number 11?
Number 11 is a pair of eyeglasses. I can give you the brand of them. Just 1 second, I apologize. Bobster glasses.
Okay. Were they dark sunglasses, or they looked like kind of have like a light tint to them?
They have a light tint. They're not as dark as my sunglasses, but they're not clear lenses either. They're more of a smoke.
Okay. Now, I'd like to admit now what I previously shown to defense counsel and witness 10H.
Okay. Any objection to that, Mr. Trevino?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, it's admitted.
Mr. Goodman's photo marker number 7, does this look that you were talking earlier about a hat and you collected?
Black baseball cap further north in the alley.
Do you have an opportunity to collect that item?
Yes, sir, I did.
Your Honor, for the record, I'm showing defense counsel what's been marked as State's Exhibit 18 for identification. Mr. Goodman, take a second to look at State's Exhibit number 18 for identification. You recognize the writing on the back?
Yes, sir, I did.
And your initials and the date you collected it?
Yes, sir.
And it shows that it's from photo marker number 7.
Correct.
Judge, at this time, the state would seek to admit State's Exhibit 18 as such.
Any objection, Mr. Trevino?
No objection, Your Honor.
It's admitted.
Permission to publish, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Just have a moment, Your Honor. Just want to double check. before you-
No problem.
Now I'd like to admit what's been marked as State's Exhibits 9B and 9G that were previously shown to the witness and defense counsel.
9B and G,
B is in boy and G is in
George.
George.
Okay.
No objection.
Okay. Admitted.
Mr. Goodwin, I'd like to talk about the items located at photo markers number 9 and 10. Did you go ahead and show the jury where they're at? Okay. What is represented at photo marker number 9?
Number 9 is a condom wrapper.
And what was that photo marker number 10?
It was a plastic straw.
All right. Did you collect these items?
Yes, sir, I did.
Speaking specifically about the item that was at photo marker number 9, opportunity to collect that.
Yes, sir.
All right, Your Honor. And now, showing for the record, defense counsel has been marked as state's exhibits number
20?
20.
Okay. Any objection, Mr. Trevina?
No objection.
Okay.
Mr. Goodman, let's show you the markings on here. Do you recognize the markings?
Yes, sir.
Is this the item you collected from photo marker number 9?
Yes, sir.
So you want to move that in?
But yes, Judge, and now the state would seek to admit it was marked as State's Exhibit 20
Okay.
as such.
It's admitted.
And now showing you State's Exhibit 9G. This is photo marker number 8. Missing photo marker.
Yes, sir.
Well, what's in this item?
Photo marker number 8 is actually right here. It's under the corner of the house. That's why it's not visible in most of the other shots. It's actually under the house. It's a small white plastic tube. Again, at the time, we're not always sure what we have. It's better to document it and find out later that it's not related than to leave it and then come back 3 days later and go, oh wait, we needed that.
So is that why you photograph and collect it?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Goodman, did you have an opportunity to take some photographs as the deceased, as he laid there that night?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And your photographs were taken before the medical examiner come and touch and move the body, correct?
Correct.
All right. The record, I'm showing defense counsel what's been marked as state's exhibits 5A, 5B, 5C. You should go and take a second to look at these three photographs. You recognize these photographs?
Yes, sir, I do.
And they are the deceased as he lay when you took the photographs.
Correct.
Judge, at this time, the state would seek to admit 5A, B, and C.
Any objection, Mr. Trevina?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. A, B, and C are admitted.
Just so we're clear for the jury, can you show the jury exactly on your diagram where the deceased was found in this picture?
He was laying right here along this wall. His head was actually facing down to the west. He would be up closer to this back fence area.
Now showing you 5B. This appears to be, I guess, his left arm. Would you agree?
Yes, sir.
What is that item besides his arm? What, in addition to his arm, is represented in this photograph?
It's a blue backpack type bag.
And was he holding it?
It was actually over the arm, kind of. His arm was basically kind of through the straps of the pack itself.
Okay, so his arms were kind of interwoven within the straps of the bag.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I'd like to show you 5C. His lower torso leg portion, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's how you found him when you took the photographs, correct?
Yes, sir.
This backpack that was on the scene, did you guys collect that backpack?
Yes, sir. We did.
And did you collect any of the contents that may have been in the backpack at the time that it was wrapped around his arm?
Yes, sir, we did.
council what's been marked as State's Exhibits 24 and 25 for identification. Mr. Good, I'm showing you 24 and 25. Do you recognize the handwriting on these bags?
Yes, sir.
And what is represented as being in these bags? Speaking about State Exhibit number 24.
This was the blue bag, and originally there was a white tank top present in the backpack bag. When I packaged them, because one is contained in the other, it went into one package. For lab purposes, they would came in and remove the white tank top to do laboratory analysis on it later. But this is the bag that originally contained the backpack with the white tank top in it.
And speaking of State's Exhibit number 25, that's the blue bag represented in photographs.
Yes, sir, it is.
Judge, at this time, the state would seek to admit 24 and 25.
Any objection, Mr. Trevino?
No objection, Your Honor.
They're admitted.
Permission to publish?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit number 24. When you guys look, these markings there were not on the shirt, correct?
Correct.
Now, State's Exhibit number 25. Talk about these straps that were kind of wrapped around his arms, the straps that we're not talking about.
Yes, sir.
His arms are kind of intermixed in those.
Yes.
And the white t-shirt was inside the bag.
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons, did you have an opportunity to go and look at the scooter that was found at the scene?
Yes, sir.
Is that on your diagram here?
No, sir, it's not on the diagram.
If it were on the diagram, where would it be?
The scooter was located on the west side of 7th Street, somewhere down in this area.
Okay.
It was actually across the street from the main scene.
And at the conclusion of this scene, you complete your reports and you can document everything, photograph, video, on this document.
Yes.
Were you called out to other potential scenes in this case?
Yes, sir, it was.
Have a seat and let's talk about those. Did you have an opportunity to respond to a residence located at 589th Avenue North?
Yes, sir, I did.
Specifically speaking about apartment number 7.
Yes, sir.
And when you arrive, is there any civilians there?
No, sir, not that I recall.
In fact, do you go there with another detective?
Yes, sir.
And when you're at that residence, is the detective kind of guiding you as to what to photograph and what to fly?
Yes, sir.
The the record, I'm showing defense counsel what's been marked as State's Exhibits 6A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Mr. Goodman, I'm going to ask you to take a look at this composite Exhibit 6. Take a second to look at those photographs and let me know when you've had an opportunity to review them.
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize those photographs?
Yes, sir, I do.
These are photographs that you took of the apartment at 89th Avenue North.
Yes, sir.
Judge, at this time, the state would seek to admit State's Exhibits 6A through 6G.
Any objection, Mr. Trevino?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. They're admitted.
Mr. Goodman, I'm going to ask that you look over your left shoulder. It would help you with standing up. I've left the pointer there, but if you could just look over your left shoulder as to the video wall.
And if you all need to move at all, you do that, okay?
This is kind of an overall photograph. It's kind of hard to see based on the lighting here.
Try this. It didn't help.
More importantly, what you can see in this is appears to be like a shower stall right here. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then a roof area.
Yes, sir.
Did you have information to look into this vent up here?
Yes, sir, we did.
Now showing you 6B. Describe what this is for the jury.
Again, this is the vent in the bathroom. As you start to remove it, you can see that there is a white bag on top of the vent, basically hidden behind the vent cover. This is a photograph just trying to demonstrate that the bag is actually in there.
Did you have an opportunity to collect that white bag and open it up to see what the contents were?
Yes, sir, I did.
Now I'd like to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 6G for identification, or admitted as 6G. Let me see if I can make this any wider. Again, these are the items that were inside the bag up in the ceiling.
Yes, sir.
Did you pull them out and have an opportunity to look through them?
Yes, sir, we did.
In fact, did you not collect these items?
Yes, sir, we did.
I'd now like to show you what's been already entered into evidence as State's 13A. Take a second to look at these items.
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize those items?
Yes, sir, I do.
Are these in fact the items that were found up in the ceiling, previously shown in photographs of?
Yes, sir, they are.
Showing you it's been admitted as 6E. It's pictures of a cell phone, correct?
Correct.
Again, as it sits here today, it's been put back together, but when you found it, it was in pieces.
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit 6F. It's the driver's license of a Shannon Griffin, correct?
Correct.
Did you process any of these items to determine whether or not there was the presence of any fingerprints?
Yes, sir, I did.
Describe to the jury a little bit about how it is that you would process something to determine whether or not there is a fingerprint there.
On items such as this, there are two main ways process for fingerprints. The chemical, which would be used in an instance where you have a porous item such as paper, some fabrics, where the fingerprint is not necessarily sitting on the surface. Fingerprints are made up of 98% water. So if I touch a piece of paper, I leave a set of prints, but just as with a paper towel, eventually those prints absorbed into the paper. For something like that, you'd have to use a chemical process. A smooth, non-porous item such as the driver's license, the cell phone, this wood, you go through with a black powder or a powder. Most of the time it's black powder. And the powder is designed to adhere to the moisture in the fingerprint. It's applied with a brush, just dust it over lightly. The powder will stick to the water or the moisture in the fingerprints. If you see ridge detail develop, what we do is we take tape, lift tape, which is basically Scotch tape that they've stretched out and made real wide. We'll apply it over the print, peel it off of the surface, and then place it onto a lift card.
As a forensic technician, you kind of described this developing or processing. Do you actually do any type of analytical work with the prints that you develop?
No, sir, I do not.
Is there someone at the City of St. Petersburg Police Department who does do that?
Yes, sir. We have 3 latent prints examiners that do the comparison.
So you submit your work to them?
Correct.
For the record, I'm showing Defense Counsel what's marked State's Exhibit 15. Mr. Goodman, take a second to look at State's Exhibit number 15 and let me know when you identify it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what is it?
It's one of the lifts that was recovered from the driver's license.
Okay, and is this a lift based on the black magnet powder which you described to this juror?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. And the lift is actually on a piece of tape, correct?
Correct.
And the white card
Is the lift card so that you have a background to compare it against, and also just to adhere the tape to.
there's some, on the front of the card, there's some markings. You recognize those markings?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Give me 1 second. At this time, the state would seek to admit State's Exhibit 15 as such.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, 15 is admitted.
Commissioner Publisher?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Goodman, I'm going to ask you about some of the... Okay. This marking red, those are your initials?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there's kind of some marking here with an X. What is that marking?
Whenever I do a lift, I will do a description of where the item came from. In this case, the front of the driver's license. The little square is supposed to represent the license, and the X is an approximate area on the license. I'm not an artist, as you can plainly see, but that's the front of the license. Next to it is a little arrow, is just an orientation arrow to show which would be how the lift was placed on the license, which is the top of what top of the license would be, and my initials and date.
And in the back, you have here something you can fill out, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. In addition to the items that you found up in the ceiling, or did you take photographs of other items that were of items at that residence?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right. And I'd like to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibits 6C and 6D. What area is this?
That is on the bed in the apartment number 7.
Okay. There seems to be some items strewn across the bed, correct?
Yes.
You got a close-up of that in 6D.
Yes, sir.
Speaking specifically about this packaging, it says track phone. Do you know what a track phone is?
The track phones are prepaid cell phones. Sometimes referred to as disposable phones, but it's a prepaid cell phone.
In addition to the residence there on 89th Avenue North, did you have an opportunity to go to a residence at 610 Fifth Avenue North, apartment number 21?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right, this second address that you went, I guess actually the third address, it's a little bit closer to the initial crime scene, correct?
Correct.
All right. Did you have an opportunity to go in there and collect some items?
Yes, sir, I did.
When you enter into the residence, is there anything of particular note that you smell?
There's a strong odor of bleach within the residence.
Okay. Based on that odor of bleach, do you guys look for potentially bleached items?
Yes, sir.
For the record, I'm showing defense counsel what's marked as State's Exhibit 7C. Mr. Goodman, take a second look at State's Exhibit 7C.
Yes, sir.
You recognize that photograph?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, is that a photograph that you took?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right. Judge, at this time, the state will proceed to admit 7C in evidence.
Any objection, Mr. Trevino?
No objection, Your Honor.
Admitted.
Mr. Goodman, if you look at this photograph, do you agree with me that this is kind of like it looks like a white tub?
Yes, sir. The bathtub.
All right. Were there clothing items in the bottom of the tub?
Yes, sir.
In addition to that, there appears to be some sort of item on top of it.
The bleach bottle, I believe it was Clorox brand, if I recall
Like
correctly.
those items.
Yes, sir, I did.
The record, I'm showing defense counsel what's been marked as State's Exhibits 27 and 28.
27 and 28, okay. Mr. Labruzzo, I'm being asked for a comfort break, so I think I'll go ahead and do that.
Sounds good.
Okay, you all need 15 minutes to take care of everybody possibly? Okay, 15-minute break. Don't discuss the case among yourselves or with anyone else. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll be back at 20 of 5. You know, Mr. Goodman, since you're testifying, you can't talk to anybody. If you need to use the restroom, there's one there. They can get you water if you need that, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're
All
welcome.
rise, please. Court is in recess, 20 minutes till 5, according to the courtroom clock.
We're good till 5, so I take advantage of it. Yeah. Birch to DC. We're gonna be sending Miss Mead down for take a quick break. 10-4. Yeah.